when it comes to studying in Ireland, there are hundreds of benefits of studying in Ireland. So the large investment Ireland has made in its higher education system is one of the reasons why international students come to Ireland. So again, when it comes to the universities, Irish universities are among the top class. Like the academic institutions are of such a standard, and in terms of the educational quality, that is brilliant, and everybody can afford the expenses. That is another major feature that makes Ireland a different country. Like then again, got vast amount of career opportunities, especially after the Brexit. Although it had a bit of initial hiccups, but then after the Brexit, the UK moving out of the European Union after the terrible divorce with the European Union, UK's divorce, so career opportunities have sprung up here, because the companies, the European companies that were placed in the UK are shifting to Ireland, as Ireland is the only English speaking in the whole of Europe. So we have galaxies of opportunities now. If you walk around, there are hundreds of job boards asking for people for part-time jobs these days. Then again, coming on to post-study work visa opportunities. Again, Ireland has got different schemes, which I would be talking about for international students. International students are really welcomed, and they have, programs like, graduate scheme and trusted partner initiative scheme. And, then again, the students who can find work permit or critical work permit, areas where there's a staff shortage, people can apply for the, critical work permit. Then again, the campuses offer programs that are really helping the student to, sharpen their own career edge and personal development. So no matter whether you are an international student or a native student, equal opportunities are given to. Recently the minister made some announcements asking, the companies to treat the students equally. Then again, that is another boon for international students these days. Then again, international students are large, in the sense especially people from China, then again, Latin American countries, then people from India. But when it comes to, people who are employed, Indians, stand on the top. Like, the students who, after the completion of their programs, people who are placed in companies, the number of Indian students are large. Then again, the community these days, as Ireland, has been going on through a very staff deficit, especially in healthcare related area. So now they have opened, the opportunities for healthcare professionals, the staff nurses and carers. So we have a growing and dynamic Indian community in Ireland. Then another major factor that makes Ireland very attractive for international people is the safety of it. Because, unlike other countries, I'm not, pointing on any particular country, but then, people live in very peacefully. That means, there is no kind of, religious bigotry or fanaticism or nothing of that sort. People can live safe. So in terms of, the safety and security, at any time, an Indian student, walking in the streets of Dublin at, 12 o'clock or 2 o'clock, you can walk safely. That is what makes Ireland different. Yes. Shall we move on to the next, next screen? Yes. Quality education. I'll just brief a bit more on, the quality education, because, as I said, it's still an unexplored land. In fact, it's a virgin soil. So the reason is it's a very small country. So it is not being noticed among other top nations. But then, Ireland, is, ranked in the top 10 for education, especially by the IMD World Competitive Ranking 2019. Then provides students with one of the best education systems in the world, offering world-class universities. When you look at the history of Ireland, again, when you look at the history of literature, English language and literature, you come across Samuel Beckett, then again, James Joyce, then W.H. Auden, all the literary, giants of the time are actually from Ireland. They all got educated in the universities here in Ireland. So we have, major universities like we have the Trinity College, as you know, like the Trinity, UCD, University College Dublin, DCU, Dublin City University, then UCC, University College Cork. Then again, there are, University of Limerick. Then again, another technical institutes come together and they form the university these days. There are technical institutes like our Indian IITs. So then, provide, a diverse range of degree options. Like, some of the programs even our Indian students haven't even heard of. So more than, 5,000 internationally recognized qualifications with world-class research opportunities in world-leading programs. And again, 35,000 international students from 161 countries enjoying Ireland's vibrant culture. That's what makes Ireland different. Then I've already told about the English speaking, then the most student-friendly country. So that is what, I'm here for almost 15 years now. 13 years now. So when I travel every nook and cranny of Ireland, come across people very loving, friendly, and welcoming. Then I will talk about, cost of education and, just a moment, okay? Just a moment, yeah. The average accommodation and the cost of education expenses in Ireland. So then when an international student traveling to Ireland, can find an accommodation, but these days, to be honest with you guys, it's a bit tough to find accommodation in the cities. So the government is investing large chunks of money for building accommodation facilities because Ireland is home to all the tech giants in Europe. It is a digital capital of Europe. So all the tech giants are landed, have been, here for quite some time. So the accommodation facilities are not enough to home everyone. So the government is investing a huge sum, but still an international student can find an accommodation for 450 to 500 euro per month. So then, for students, we don't usually, rent an apartment all alone. We will be sharing our accommodation with, the students around. So you'll be having either your partner or your colleague or, your classmates studying together. So you can get an accommodation for 350 to 450 euro per month. Then, of course, the other expenses like, the utility bill, in sense of utility, in the sense, the overhead bills like your current and, then the heating and then your internet and all other kind of things like come around, utility bill come around, 30 euro per, month, because, you'll be sharing that, with other friends of yours. Then again, internet, up to 60 or 50 or 60 per household. So that again, it comes down to single 10 euro per head. So 3 or 4 students or 4 or 5 students stay together, then you can get, an internet, broadband, 5G kind of, connection for just, 10 euro per month. Then food, an average of 100 to 150 euro a month. It's not that expensive and it's very cheap for, food. Then book and study other materials, and it comes around 550 euro per month. And transportation, again, you'll have the student ID card with which you can travel around. These days, students buy the scooter, the electric scooters, okay? They got, if you, walk outside, you have the footpath, for, the, daily, people who are perambulating, walking on the roads, so you can find in a lot of people using the footpath, especially for we have separate track for the bike in the sense, the bicycle, and again, in the scooters, electric scooters. So again, it's very cheap for students. They pay around 200 euro or 300 euro to buy a scooter, and they use it for life, Yes. Then another major important thing, I want to talk to you about the part-time jobs actually. So the part-time job opportunities are, especially after the pandemic, after the reopenings of, the whole market, now everywhere, hundreds of job opportunities, Even for me, I do run an, overseas recruitment company, not only for overseas education. We have a company for, recruiting staff members to different, companies here. So then recently I, put up an advertisement for a, Dublin production house. It's a, food chain company. Then, they have around, 50 job, part-time job, but then I got only 5 CVs actually. So part-time jobs are huge, so the international students can manage their part-time, expenses. When I talk to my own students who come here, they just manage with people who are working, in the hotels, and, they get the, they get the tip alone to manage their own rent, these days. Then plenty of, part-time job opportunities, especially Indian students are being, loved by, the employers, because, they are very hardworking, and, they love to employ, either Indian students, no matter whether it's a healthcare, the other field as well. When you go to hospitals, they say that, yeah, Indian nurses are the best, So you must have heard, in BBC last year, the UK minister talking about. So we are second to none, yeah. Then another thing, Ireland should be aware of, the kind of, yeah, every student should be aware of the student visa regulations on part-time. Students can work 20 hours per week. That is a normal, average working slot for an international student. But then these days, the students have not been fully, the campuses have not been fully open. So the students work from home, they study from home. So they have more like open days out. So they can work almost.
Sorry, you are muted.
Okay. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We can hear you.
Okay. So then, the students, work almost like, 14 hours these days because of the pandemic. They don't have the regular classes, but then they have the online classes this time. But then again, this during the month of, September, the campuses are going to be full-fledged, because almost 80% of, the vaccination is over. Now, even they have already rolled out, vaccination for 12 plus years of age, school going kids. That's also in full swing. So I think, the minister was, talking the other day, they're going to, reopen the campuses in September. Maybe in the month, September, they might have online. After that, October, November, they will have, the campuses fully open. So then again, it comes to 20 hours work, that's the normal. Always make sure that international students, stick with the 20 hours, rule. Although they can, work more time, but still, let's not, take chances. Okay. Then, yeah, Ireland visas again, just let me, George, sorry, can you go back on the previous, yeah. Then, visa specific. Okay. The students come here on, stamp 2 visa category, international students. Then after the completion of their, studies, so they get, 2-year stay back options for master's, program students. For PG, people who do their PG program, they get, 2-year stay back. So then they go, then they become stamp 1G. That means it is an open work permit. They can work, 40 hours per week for 2 hours, continuous 2 years. Later on, they can, during the time, they can find for the critical work permit, or trusted partner initiative, or graduate scheme, or, the general work permit kind of category. Then again, as per the labor, if you go by the labor statistics, around, Ireland has, 4 lakhs people, employed, part-time, yeah. Indian students studying in Ireland will be allowed to work, 40 hours. I mean, again, from June to September, and, from December to 15th January, again, it is a question of 20. You need to be a bit more, careful in choosing your time slot. So normally it is, 20 hours, but after you are stamp 1G, you can work, 40 hours. Then during your holidays, that is the time, September and, December time frame. So we have, the midterm break and, Christmas break and summer break. during which, the students can work, full time, no matter, even if they are, on a part-time, employment, a part-time study. Yeah. Then at all other times, again, all of the time students will be allowed to work 20 hours. Make sure that you stick on to that. Yeah, please. Then again, about the career opportunities, which you need to be thinking of. In general, the work permit career opportunities are open for, people who are on the critical skill list. So the competition, as you know, like no matter, what you are and what you have studied, the question in point is, your performance barometer. If you can, really raise your performance barometer, you will be wanted everywhere. So when selecting a program, coming to Ireland, or no matter whether you come to choose Ireland or the UK or Canada, Germany, so you will have to be selecting a program that is in accordance with the job shortage in that particular country. So there are hundreds and thousands of jobs, the deficit, staff members, I mean, short skill category where they experience, staff deficit. So you should be focusing more on the kind of critical work permit category. So it is easy for you to jump into the job and immediately after completing your program. So we will be talking about, the kind of, so you can look at the screen and find the different critical skill list category, which falls under. So business and finance, of course, the accountants, business intelligence, analytics, financial advisors, and, risk assessment and compliance professionals. Then engineering area, biomedical engineering, chemical engineering, electrical engineers, energy engineers. Then, of course, IT, app developers, data analysts, software developers, IT support specialists, programmers, they work in chips and coding and, testing and, huge opportunities. Okay. Then again, when it comes to healthcare, doctors, nurses, pharmacists and opticians and radiologists and, physiotherapists, they're all in much, radiographers, they're all in much demand. Again, hospitality area, the students have completed the, hospitality management, or rather culinary management skills, or who's got trained in chef, the sous chef and all that different categories, you find an ample of job opportunities. Then again, recently the government, every time you need to be, aware of one more thing. So the government keeps on, there's a checks and balance system. They keep on updating, the critical skill list category. Whenever they feel there's a surge in number in a particular, more, companies, have, requirement for people in a particular area, they open that. And once they fill the vacancies, they close that, open up another area. That's the way they maintain the balance, Then only recently, transport and logistic, the government gave, kept it open now. So the supply chain managers, supply chain analysts and transport managers, they can find a job like, that is also under the critical skill list.